Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining the last RC West Oversight Committee meeting for 2019. My name is Christina Osborne. I work in Stakeholder Affairs. I'm going to be facilitating the web conference. There are a few ISO representatives in the room. I'll go ahead and have them introduce themselves, and then I'll go over the agenda.
Gina Wanzer, Customer Readiness.
Eric Schmidt. Phil Pettengill.
Ann Gonzalez, Communications.
Tim Beach.
Ankit Mishra. Annie Alarian, IT.
Jennifer Ross.
Great. Thank you, everyone. So Michelle's going to start us off with roll call, and then we have a briefing by Ann Gonzalez. She's going to talk about the RC West Communications Plan. Then Tim Beach is going to cover the operations update, which includes RC metrics, as well as the post-peak closure. We have Ankit Mishra and Hanni Alarian here to provide the technology update on the quality of solution, that's for Hanna, as well as the network model schedule. And then we'll go over the future agenda items, and then we'll have time at the end for public comments. So we are recording the meeting today. We're going to make that recording available out on the RC West webpage on our website. Ann's going to show you where that's at in a minute. Look for that probably by the end of this week, and that's where you'll also find the presentation for this meeting. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Michelle.
All right, thanks, Christina. So just a quick reminder, too, to members of the committee, please make sure that you've dialed in through the access code that Christina provided via email and in the meeting invite, and not through WebEx. So if you've dialed in through WebEx, please do hang up and dial back in through the line. All right, so with that, we'll go through the attendance. So Arizona Electric Power Co-op.
Shane Sanders.
Thanks, Shane. Avista. Avangrid. APS. Balancing Authority of Northern California. Bonneville, I'm here. Cal ISO BA.
Larry Belknap here.
Thanks, Larry. Sanase.
Hello, Michelle. Gabriel Santillán here.
Thanks, Gabriel. Chelan. Douglas. Grant.
Leroy Patterson here.
Thanks, Leroy. Gridforce. Hitachi.
Hitachi is here.
Thank you.
This is Brian Pauling.
Thanks, Brian. Idaho Power.
Ben Brandt is here with Idaho Power.
Thanks, Ben. IID.
Matt Swelsworth, IID.
Thanks, Matt. LADWP.
Glenn Berry is here.
Thanks, Glenn. Los Alamos. Modesto.
James McFalls here.
Thanks, James. Montana, Alberta, Thailand. Naturaner.
Hi, Michelle. Jeff Rayfeld and Paul Olson are here.
Thank you, Jeff and Paul. Northwestern.
Casey's here.
Casey. NV Energy. Pacificor.
Kathy Downey.
Oh, thanks, Kathy. PG&E.
This is Tom French for PG&E.
Thanks, Tom. Portland General. P&M.
Corey McAllister and Bob Froster here. I think that Bob's not on the speaker line.
Okay. Thanks, Corey.
PNM, this is Manuel Sanchez.
Thanks, Manuel. Puget.
Evan Sorrell's here for Puget.
Thanks, Evan. Salt River.
Steve Cobb and Chris Hoffman, Michelle.
Thanks, Steve and Chris. Southern California Edison?
Yeah, Tony Edison.
Gary, and Gary Tarpley.
Thank you. San Diego Gas and Electric? Seattle City Lights? Silicon Valley? SMUD? Snohomish? Tacoma?
John Nuremberg's here for Tacoma.
Thanks, John. Trans Bay? Tri-State?
Tri-State is on. This is Maud.
Thanks, Maud. Turlock?
This is Joe Gill with Turlock.
Thanks, Joe. Valley Electric?
Emily Schneider is here for Valley Electric Association.
Thanks, Emily. And WAPA?
Rebecca Johnson.
Thanks, Rebecca. All right, and we do have a quorum, although we don't have any voting items this week. With that, we can move on to Ann with the RC West Communications Plan.
Thank you, Michelle. Good afternoon. My name is Ann Gonzalez, and since the expanded footprint launch on November 1st, we thought this might be a good time for us to go over some of the roles and responsibilities and support functions of our communications department with relation to the RC West. So we have a team of PIOs, public information officers. We also have graphic artists, and we also have our web administrators and designers. We take media questions, create and maintain web content, and we also create talking points. We also distribute the market notices through our daily briefing. That's on a subscription basis, and it's a once-a-day email summarizing all of the market notice activity. And we keep the staff also up to date on the BA and RC West activity. Our team handles communications and creative services for RC West and the Oversight Committee as part of our overall strategic communications plan. So the communications support for RC West is folded into our ISO ComPR department. So as lead for the PIO for RC West, I do create the content and I maintain and update the public web page. And our web administrator designs and supports the participant portal. We also handle media requests and regarding RC West. So far, the inquiries have focused on the stand-up of the services, mainly, and including the certification process, the milestones, and with the November launch of the expanded footprint, we do expect media inquiries to the ISO to be reduced greatly. I still encourage a flow of information between participating transmission operators and our office when it comes to media calls. So if any of you receive media requests, I would appreciate a heads up, and I can work with you or your communications team on messaging. So in general practice, if a media query is related to RC West, then our office would take the lead, and if it's an issue that's specific to an entity, we will defer to the entity, and you can stand up your standard protocol for interacting with the media. In either case, it's probably ideal for us to let the other one know so there are no surprises, and we can discuss any sensitivities, and we can inform each of our staffs internally of any messaging. As part of that coordination, I'll be reaching out to exchange contact information with your media relations staff so that we're prepared for events requiring any external communications. And also, I just wanted to mention that when an RC West activity becomes public, we then we prepare our staff to be able to effectively communicate externally. So our office will get input from various departments within our organization. That information is crystallized into talking points so that we present a cohesive message to the public. And the hope is, the intended results is that this all leads to better transparency for the ISO and for our RC West participants. I just want to remind you that for the best up-to-date information on ISO activity, you can follow us on Twitter, and I've included the handles here. And we also have a primary account. We have a market notice channel at ISO Market Notice, which posts all of our market notices in real time. You can also sign up for the daily briefings emails if you would like to stay current on all of our other market notices. So at this time, if there's any questions.
All right, thanks, Ann.
Did you want to walk through the RC webpage really quick, the new redesigned webpage? Has everybody had a chance to look at it, and are there any questions on where to find things on the redesigned webpage? Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, Tim Beach here, Director of RC Operations, and just give you a brief RC Operations update. So last we met, we had laid a timeline out for you regarding RC metrics. We've proceeded down that timeline quite a ways. Our last iteration on November 29th, we received comments regarding our metrics design. We followed that up with a webinar with the Joint Task Force, and we've implemented those comments into our finalized metric, which we're going to present on the 19th. And January 1st, we'll start the metric gathering. So a sampling of the comments we received back are on the next slide, Christina. So we did receive some comments, and we were able to incorporate all these. We provide a detailed explanation of the write-ups and on how each metric is defined. So that's in our design document. We'll be finalizing this week. We provided explanations where significant changes are observed and potential reasons. We're utilizing percentages rather than totals and monthly totals to better capture the relative impact of it. So we thought that was a very good comment, and we adopted that as well. We break out the data by BAA where possible. So when we do a load forecast accuracy metric review, we'll have that by BAA, and we'll also only share that with the BAAs respectively. So we'll work on those for improving that, as well as the gen schedules. And then with regard to the system availability, all captured times when critical systems are unavailable for longer than 30 minutes. So we've captured those into our metrics as well. And on the next slide, I have a high-level review of the metrics and how they're shared. One thing to note is that you see 6 items mounted here, but there's actually 17 separate metric components that break down into these 6 items. So it's much deeper than that, and those are detailed in the design document. But we look at our real-time tools, the quality, the convergence, the accuracy, and the critical system availability. We make that available to the public. We look at load forecast accuracy, and that includes gen schedules as well. That's confidential, and that's confidential within either the Oversight Committee and then when it's respective to specific BA numbers with that BA only. We look at our RC West OPA accuracy, so we're measuring the ability to plan our outages as we walk into the outage day, how that accuracy plays out, and if we predict our outages and then conditions accurately. So we look at that as well. We look at our SOL exceedance management. We look at, when we violate or when we exceed an SOL, when we recognize it, when we mitigate it, the time it takes to do that, the time it's recognized, and also the time that it takes us to contact the TOPs and BAs that are impacted. We do a measurement on our outage coordination process, which is also confidential, but it's shared within the Oversight venue, and then also RC West operators communication. So that's a little more subjective, but that's where we look at the operators, how they communicate to the TOPs and BAs. We actually sit down, listen to their calls, critique them, look for areas of improvement, and recognize areas of excellence as well. So we do all those, and on this Thursday we'll see a detailed explanation to the joint RTWG and OPWG meeting, and hopefully we'll achieve approval for that to go forward. And we'll start gathering our base data on January 1st. Any questions on metrics?
Yeah, Tim, this is Gary Tarpley from Edison. What the metrics report? How much of that will be available to the executive committee as well as to the public?
Anything within the confidential, the public and the confidential columns. Now, specific to, as I mentioned, items that are specific to a BA only, for example, the accuracy of their load forecast, that will only be shared with that BA. So we won't broadcast that out to the entire RC stakeholder group. But again, if you look at the columns noted there, you'll see public and confidential. You'll receive all those. Yep.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Any other questions before we move on?
Okay, I was also asked to give just a short review on the PostPeek closure and operating today. So SPP assumed RC record for the remaining peak RC area on December 3rd at 1100 Pacific Standard Time. The RCs, in particular RC West, participated in that call. At that same time, RC West became the GMD monitor for WEC, so we have the obligation of monitoring the space-time weather forecast and making notices to the interconnection if we get into a GMD level event that's prescribed within the NERC standards. So we've taken on that obligation. That will become rotational, so we'll rotate that through the other RCs starting in 2021, but we are taking it for 2020. Peak RC shut down the reliability softwares and systems shortly after transition to SPP for the remaining area, so it wasn't maybe a half hour and their systems were down, including their website. But we did have one post call with them shortly after that to confirming everything we shut down with our RCs. And then going forward, the RCs have been holding a daily conference call, just like we did during shadow operations. That's going to continue on as a long-term plan. And actually, the initiator this year is RC West, so we facilitate the call. That facilitation will rotate with the GMD monitor duties as well. So in 2021, BCRC will become the facilitator for that RC to RC morning conference call. But I just took a quick look through the logs and the type of things we've been communicating since the third, and I've seen a lot of communications between the RCs, including some data dropouts. They worked through that, scheduled work changes, some new equipment coming into service in Piesco, some mitigation results, verifying ratings. SPP issued an operating instruction to one of their BAs. They let us know that was going on. Verified it was okay. The operating instruction did not cause impact on our side, so that was a very good exchange of information that was well-founded. And then we've had some communications issues. BCRC's had some microwave issues, and we saw communications regarding that or discussions, as well as the potential RAS impacts that were resulting in those communication outages. So, just in the few short weeks we've been operating, there's been quite a bit of good open discussion amongst the RCs and Western Interconnection. So I think we've made a very good transition without event, and it's proceeding smoothly at this point.
So, Tim, this is Steve Cobb. Just a question for you.
Sure.
How are the models converging? I mean, are you guys, I know that you'd mentioned that there were some facilities that may have come in service, but are you guys essentially getting the same results from running the models on the different EMS platforms?
So are you referring to comparison with SPP or with?
Yeah, sorry about that, with SPP. Yeah,
to my knowledge, I think they're fairly close. It is indicated by one of the communications there was some discrepancy, but they did verify the ratings were correct. As different state estimators run, they're never quite in sync in time as well, so you're always going to see a little difference that way, but it hasn't been reported to me a large difference in state estimator results between us and SPP. And Ankit's here. I don't know if you've done any measurement on that or.
We haven't done any formal measurement on that, but we, in the EMS ID We are in constant touch with our OEs and RC operators, and wherever they have any issues with any discrepancy in the results, we get called out, and we have not been seeing many issues on the boundary or the RTCs to that effect.
And we haven't seen anything, Steve, to the degree where we would have to declare the most conservative result and operate to it while we resolved it. So we haven't had anything that's that far apart where we've had to interact and invoke those type of standards rules that we typically follow in those cases. So I think there's probably some difference, but not major and not enough to cause issue at this point.
Thanks, Tim.
Any other questions for Tim?
Okay, thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Ankit Mishra from the EMS team. I'm here to provide you with a technology update. The couple of topics that were requested to be discussed in today's session were an update on Hanna and an update on the network model schedule. Let me first start with the Hanna update. The Hanna application has been up and running. The main source of issue collection for us on any issues that the different users of the Hanna application are facing is the city application, which is the customer-facing interface. We have received several issues in the city application, and our focus continues to be identification of systemic issues which is affecting many different customers, and we are seeing some such threads emerging from the city application. We have also had some calls with the customers where they have also raised some issues. So I do want to present to you the common themes and the effort that we are doing in resolving those issues. One of the themes that has emerged is the data that is needed over ICCP in addition to the points that were already provided. This has to do with the time calculation seen since the last good solution for RTC and Hanna applications. We are working on developing that calculation internally, and then those calculations will be provided on ICCP to the entities, to all entities who are using such applications. That was one common theme. We have several tickets associated with that. There were some additional feedback in the city application where some entities presented difficulties in their system to consume the analog points that were provided earlier as part of the Hanna application, specifically RTC availability, which was being provided as an analog ICCP point. We are working on converting those into digital points as well. So that effort is also well underway. On the overall availability aspect for Hanna, our Hanna application derives the data and the results from the CAISO, RT West in-house state estimator and RTC applications. We have had a very high focus on improving the availability and robustness of our internal RTCA and state estimator applications, and we have seen week-over-week improvements in both the availability and quality, which has reflected itself in the availability of Hanna applications as well. But this effort is ongoing and is progressing well. There is additional feedback on the city tickets to provide some kind of reporting on availability of Hanna applications. The time since last good solution, once it's provided to the entities over ICCP, would be the first step in that direction, but we are exploring internally as well how to generate some additional reporting that could be shared with you on Hanna availability. But that effort is just starting, so it's yet to be seen how that progresses. That's the update on Hanna. I can move on to the next section unless there are any questions.
This is Glenn Berry from LA. Just had a quick question. Are you still advocating we keep submitting city tickets then for any problems we're seeing, or should we wait and see how things go? Because we're still seeing a lot of quality problems.
Absolutely. Please provide city tickets of all issues that you're seeing. That will help us know that you're seeing issues and prioritize them to fix.
Thank you.
Any other questions on Hanna?
All right. Moving on to the network model schedules. In the past RC Oversight meetings, we have communicated that we are taking a hard look at the scheduling, the business process improvements, and the technology improvements to get to a monthly schedule. That effort is going on well and it's close to being finalized. Our teams are working on developing a calendar schedule for the monthly network model deployments, which is not ready yet, but will soon be forthcoming. I do not have any dates available with me right now, so my recommendation is to wait for that communication on the monthly model schedule.
Great for questions.
Any questions on that?
So that's all we have for technology. The next item is the future agenda items, unless you guys have any other questions. Okay.
All right. Are there any future agenda items that anybody would like to share? Okay. So our next meeting is February 27th. That's webinar only. If you do come up with other agenda topics, you can submit them to the link that is on your screen now. We can get those added to that agenda as we get closer.
We'll keep the standing items, right, Michelle?
Yeah, we'll still keep the standing items. Yep.
Okay.
Then next we have public comment. Is there anybody that would like to make a public comment?
So if anybody would like to, if they have a question or comment, you can raise your hand by pressing #2, and please start by introducing yourself. Will, let me know if anybody enters the queue, please.
All right, there are no questions in the queue. Oh, wait, just have one come in.
Okay.
The line has been unmuted.
Caller, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Hi, Michelle. This is Julia Prochek from NRDC, and I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for all the hard work. It was an amazing transition, and really appreciate all the work that's been done by the Oversight Committee, the CalIs, the staff, RC West. Thank you all very much. It's exciting to see us go forward in the new year. And I also wanted to give my personal thanks to Steve Cobb. I couldn't be on the last call when the resolution was made, but thank you, Steve, for all you've done, and congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, Julia. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you. Is there anybody else in the queue, Will?
There are no other questions at this time.
All right. Well, I think with that, then, we will adjourn the public session and move into executive session.
Yeah, so if all the members can stay on the line, what we'll do is go ahead and disconnect the participant line, Will, and also turn off the recording.